YouTube makes you a horrible writer. Be concise. This is the first rule of any good writing. Talk to any real columnist or journalist and they'll relay to you the difficulty of constraint. Proper writers are expected to go through multiple phases of refinement until their work is boiled down to its purest essentials. However, us wretched video essayists are not confined to this box. We are free to expand upon our expansions, wax poetic within our tangents. And sorry, but this isn't a skill. Anybody can write with no guardrails. The incentive has always been, if you want your work to be impactful, keep it simple. But what if we break this incentive? Many new writers find their voice on YouTube. Your first Substack or Medium post will almost definitely not be read. However, if you orate your essay, apply clean visuals, and learn the YouTube title thumbnail meta, you can immediately reach thousands with no prior exposure. This is probably the greatest opportunity new writers have ever had. Creators like Horses, Exerbia, ContraPoints, and Solar Sands have transitioned from amateur content creator into mainstream cultural commentator. ContraPoints videos have been viewed over 100 million times totally. Compared to, let's say, Malcolm Gladwell's 23 million total book sales, it's not crazy to assume that more people have engaged with ContraPoints' work than the most famous non-fiction writer of the 21st century. Although Malcolm Gladwell is undeniably more famous, he's probably less consumed. And herein lies the folly of YouTube. Content consumption. Working on YouTube means you are helpless to the YouTube algorithm. An algorithm that, above all else, favors attention on advertisements. What you may not be aware of, though, is the way the algorithm changes the very structure of your work. The incentive structure of impactful writing is conciseness. The incentive structure of the YouTube algorithm is squeeze in as many fucking ads as possible without the viewer clicking off. So, how does the content creator answer this call? They make the longest video possible. If a video was over 10 minutes in 2011, it was considered abhorrently long. Now, anything between 25 to 40 minutes is the norm. Do all these videos warrant a long runtime? No, definitely not. Do they make more money and get more views? Well, to figure this out, we have to go back to the birth of modern capitalism. I'm just kidding. Yes, they make a bunch more money. The more ads a viewer watches in a single video, the higher income per view. It's all straightforward math. But how does one make a long video? Well, to understand this, we have to go back to the collapse of the Bronze Age. Is what I would say if I was trying to make a long video. Long videos warrant unnecessary tangents to fill runtime. For example, one could easily explain the 2008 financial crisis in under 10 minutes. In fact, it would be a sign of your adept skill to do so. But this doesn't fill runtime. Hence, one must divulge into diatribes about the history of capitalism, the birth of neoliberalism, the death of Franz Ferdinand, and other things they probably have no business talking about in connection to 2008. We write as if our listener is asking why whenever we explain a different fact, like a 2-year-old toddler. A lot of things are connected. Most things are connected. I'm sure there's a compelling connection between the dot-com crash of 2000 and the Paris Commune. There's also a connection between the Jurassic period and the hot dog. Everything is connected. So just worry about the ones that matter. By answering the call of the algorithm, you are not sharpening your skills as a communicator. You are simply making yourself and YouTube more money. But the long video incentive not only rewards puffy writing, it inflates the author's ego. Any self-employed creative knows the trap of conflating hard work with smart work. The hours of research, the obscure literature, all giving the illusion of progress. The impulse to put in as many hours as possible is destroying the clarity of your work. And this applies to every creative pursuit. The difference with YouTube is that you are incentivized to obfuscate and procrastinate. The algorithm capitalizes on your drive to hustle like a brainworm. And not only does it feel good to work hard, it feels good to be smart. The best writing advice I ever received was from my friend JJ McCullough. Stop trying to explain everything you've ever learned. Essayists write as if their work is a trophy case. Every paragraph showing off all the books they've read, all the knowledge they have, reading like a desperate plea for validation. The audience doesn't care if you sound smart. The audience doesn't care that you read Hegel. The audience cares about understanding what you have to say and figuring out if it makes sense. If they can't understand you, you've done a bad job. If they can't understand you and you name drop Baudrillard, you're mentally stunted. If you want respect, write clearly. If you want to be cool, pick a different career. You're writing bloated nonsense for an audience that's not even paying attention. The YouTube audience is distracted and dopamine starved. They aren't pausing and replaying the video while hastily taking notes. They're on public transit, playing video games, or falling asleep. Your work will go unappreciated by an absent-minded audience. And this is fine. This doesn't mean you shouldn't care. This means you should write with an expedient audience in mind. If you care about your ideas being communicable, keep it simple. But what if you don't? What if you're knowingly playing the YouTube algorithm and your game isn't being a good writer? That's fine, but at least know the game you're playing. Creators like Quentin Reviews make 8-hour videos about obscure Disney Channel shows for people to watch across like a whole week while they're falling asleep. Although not skillful writing in an orthodox sense, he knows what he's doing. If Quentin were to publish his scripts into a book, it would be unbearable. However, a 42-hour long video about how the Beverly Hillbillies changed television forever, yes, he actually made that. Fuck it. That's YouTube gold. It's not that Quentin's a bad writer, it's that he's playing a different game. But this isn't to say that all long videos are definitionally bad. Creators like HBomberGuy or the aforementioned ContraPoints make extremely long, year-long projects of intense journalistic research and philosophy. ContraPoint's newest video is about conspiracies, a broad topic that commands intense research. HBomberGuy's most recent video, Plagiarism on YouTube, he painstakingly dismantles multiple creators, catching cases of plagiarism that would have taken months of research to catch. These yearly releases command tens of millions of views, because both of these creators have garnered their respect as good communicators. They are dense but intentional. They rarely stray far. They never have filler. Video essay slop has an osmosis effect on the audience. YouTube is the primary source for most young people's scholarly content. If the audience is equating bloat to scholarly skill, they'll be tempted to mimic the meta. How much longer can the slop spiral? How much longer until drama slop YouTubers are explaining the concept of sadness to you in order to fill runtime? BreadTubers explaining ancient Etruscan culture to help understand why the 80s oil crisis happened. I'm as guilty as anybody. I've made 35-minute long videos explaining why thing X is seemingly related to thing Y. And perhaps this video is more of a reflection on my own body of work than anything. But I want to make one thing abundantly clear. YouTube incentivizes you to be a bad communicator, and you have to actively fight against this. To do this, say less. Dare to be concise. All good writers can make a YouTube video, but not all YouTubers can write. Understand that YouTube doesn't reward skill, it rewards advertisement attention. Looking back at your hour-long video essay on why mid-century modernist architecture is neo-colonial through a Saidian lens will make you feel smart, it will make you feel good about yourself. But you're not smart. You're a YouTuber. It's okay to be a YouTuber. It takes a lot of skill to be a YouTuber. But you can make videos for a decade and never learn how to write. Stop trying to get better at YouTube and get better at writing. The successful YouTuber has a lifespan of like 5 years. The successful writer will outlive civilizations.